So we're going to begin class today. Our class is going to look like breathing first. We're going to do a little bit of centering and grounding breath work. We're going to move and then we're going to relax. And what I want to say is what may be a little bit different here is that I'm going to leave you in relaxation. I'll remind you this at the end of class. And I'm going to leave you in relaxation because as we know, it may be quite stressful right now. And maybe if we get to that relaxation spot, you'd like to stay a little bit longer than I'll be teaching. So I want to invite you to decide how that works for you. So as we begin our practice, I'm going to ask you to come to the front of your mat and maybe give yourself four fingers between those feet. So if you look at those big toes, measuring 4 fingers, a nice wider stance, but a solid stance. Give yourself a little bit of rocking forward and back and maybe inside and outside of those feet. You might bounce those knees just a little bit and landing then in soft knees. Arms are long and maybe a sense of heaviness through those arms so the shoulders can melt away from your ears. We're going to start by breathing, and I invite you either to maybe lower your lids to take away a little visual information, or if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes fully. And as we're here standing in this solid mountain pose, I'm going to ask you to observe your inhale. We'll do that for 3 or 4 breaths. And as you breathe in, noticing or counting for yourself the number of your own personal beats it takes you to breathe in. So breathing in, counting your own number of personal beats. Once you have that average number of beats it takes you to inhale, see if you can extend your exhale by just 1 breath or 2. So for instance, it takes me about 5 beats to inhale. That means I would extend my exhale to 6. So we're going to spend just a few moments here inhaling and exhaling on your own, trying to extend your exhale by 1 beat or 2. Let's do 2 more rounds of your breath. When you've finished your breath, just take a nice cleansing breath. Deep inhale, exhale, let it out the mouth. Let's do 1 more of those. Inhaling and exhaling. That breath is really handy to calm the central nervous system. When we exhale just a bit longer, as long as our breath doesn't become labored, we have an opportunity to send our central nervous system into a rest, relax, and restore response, which can come in handy in these challenging times. We are going to be warming up standing up. We'll move through our practice. We'll move to the floor and then move into our relaxation. So I'm going to ask you here, as you're getting ready to warm up just a little bit, we'll begin to round the shoulders. Shoulder rolling can be really big, or if you're feeling like there's a lot of clicking, a little bit of pain this early in the morning, maybe you make it smaller or simply just a shoulder shrug. So rolling those shoulders just as big or as small as it makes sense for what you're hearing in those shoulders and maybe what you're sensing in those shoulders. We'll do 1 more. Doesn't matter which way you started, we're going to do both directions. So we'll just reverse directions. Now, as we're reversing again, paying attention to sensation, if that sensation is leading to pain, we want to change it. Maybe it's shrugs, maybe it's smaller movements through the shoulders. And I'm going to ask you to take your right hand travels behind your back, maybe resting at your tailbone. That right hand is closest to the weeds side of my room. And we'll drop our ear away from the shoulder. So dropping ear over to that left shoulder. If it makes sense for you, we might give a little bit of a roll, chin towards shoulder, and then looking back up towards me. We're stretching the neck here, stretching the relationship between the ear and the very top of your shoulder. We're also relaxing some muscles behind that shoulder blade. Let's do a couple more. It's also okay to just stay put with ear towards shoulder. We'll come up back through center, just switching sides. So we're going to take your left hand behind your back, the hand closest to the flower side of my room, and drop my ear over towards the weeds. Again, maybe moving head. Sensing maybe a stretch, and sometimes a stretch feels like resistance. Sometimes it feels like a tightening. Noticing what's happening here on that left side of your neck. We'll rise back up through center. We're going to warm up those arms and wrists just a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to just press your palms together. And then we're going to take and fold over. So we're pressing the backs of the hands, and we're just rolling through fingertips to press palms and backs of hands. Go at your pace. If I'm going a little too fast or too slow, go what makes sense for you. And then we'll give a little circle to those wrists. Circling in one direction and then the other. I'm going to ask you to reach out as if we're reaching out with our fists, and then rolling thumb towards your wrist, and then we're going to stop some traffic. So we'll stop and roll. One more time, stop and roll. We'll add in a little bit of arm movement with breath. So letting hands travel down by your side. Inhale, reaching fingertips. As you exhale, let those hands come back down by your side. So for now, staying pretty stable through those legs, we're going to add a little movement here in a moment. Inhaling up. Exhaling, hands come back down by your side. One last time. Inhaling up. And exhaling back down by your side. This time, let's add a twist. So as we come through center, inhaling up. As we exhale, let's turn towards the flowers or turn towards the left side for you. Inhale, reaching back up. Maybe when we look at those fingertips, exhale, twisting towards the weeds or towards the right side for you. Inhaling up. Exhale, twisting, really letting that twist travel down through your torso. So we're moving knees and hips here. We're not necessarily staying stable through those feet. Inhaling up, exhaling. Let that exhale really travel through that nose. Inhale, giving your gaze to the ceiling if it makes sense for your neck, and exhaling. We'll do this one last time. Inhale through center and exhale. Inhale through center, exhale. As we rise back up through center, let those hands just travel out, down by your side. We're going to take a wider stance here, turning our toes out, letting yourself go maybe the width of your mat, maybe even a little bit further, depending on you. We're going to start to twist. This is a much more mobile twist. We're going to have some flingy arms here. So I'm going to twist in one direction and the other, letting my hands swing around. They might even tap my low back if they can reach there. Warming up torso, a little bit of legs here. Letting knees move with your twist. Feet might even lift off your mat. One last time in each direction. And then we'll come back through center. We're going to find our mountain pose. So We had 4 fingers before. Let's try 2 fingers between those big toes. Feet come a little bit closer. We're going to start to roll in and out of those feet. So maybe forward and back, and careful here with balance. You don't have to lift the heels. We're just really shifting weight. So if balance is a little bit challenging, you can always go wider. And you can do less of this movement. Right now, rolling forward and back through those feet. Let's land and roll inside and out. So out to pinky toes and big toes. We're really trying to find all parts of our feet here. We might even imagine our arch, that our arch is feeling some of that work as we're moving in and out through feet. And then letting your feet land. And as they land, noticing knees. We call it micro softening of the knees. So we aren't necessarily bending, but we're giving ourselves just a little release to those knees so they're not locked out. You'll notice that changes a little bit about what's happening in your low back. When you're ready, draw your shoulders up, gently pressing them back and letting them melt down your back. So we may find we feel better letting palms face the thighs. You may find your mountain pose has palms facing forward. What feels best in your shoulders? What feels best to you today? Our chin's parallel to the floor. We think about maybe growing a little taller through the top of our head. Our mountain pose, this strong, really immobile pose where all of our standing poses come from. We sense the feet, we sense the strength in the legs, the length in the torso, the long arms, the long neck, head reaching towards the ceiling. Take a moment here just to notice, how does this feel in the physical body? How does this feel as we build it from the feet, through the legs, through the spine, arms, and head? We're going to remind ourselves the breath is the measure of our effort. And so as we're getting ready to move through our standing poses, if you find that your breath is either grabbing or holding, you may be over-efforting the pose. It might be a good idea to just take one step back, a little less effort, so the breath is moving smoothly. We're going to move through our halfway lift, sun salutation. So let's bring hands to heart. When you're ready, inhale and reach fingertips, gaze might even fall. We're going to keep soft knees today, arms reach wide, rounded back. For those of you working maybe with a traumatic brain injury, you want to keep the head higher than the heart. If that doesn't apply to you, you might find that you're rounding the back just a little bit further. We'll inhale to press through either the thighs or the shins. We skip those knees. Allow yourself to round down. Arms reach wide as we inhale to rise up. Fingertips reach towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands come back to heart. Let's do that 4 more times. Inhale, fingertips reach. Exhale, soften knees, arms reach wide, rounded back to protect that back. Keeping head above heart if you're working with the TBI. We inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release back down, arms reach wide. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, hands come to heart. Inhale, fingertips reach. Exhale, soft bent knees, rounding down. See if we can match this with our breath. So as we inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release down. See if you can stretch that low back a little bit more. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, hands come to heart. 2 more times. Inhale, fingertips reach. Exhale, soft bent knees. Maybe we feel some opening, stretching in the backs of those thighs, those hamstrings. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release back down. Arms reach wide as we inhale, rise back up. Exhale, hands come to heart. This will be our last time. Inhale, fingertips reach. Exhale, soft bent knees. Diving forward here. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release back down. Arms reach wide as we inhale, we rise back up. Exhale, hands come to heart. We're going to leave those hands at heart for a nice little bit of centering. Now this next step back is a bit of a balance. So take your time. You might need to do a couple of hops back. We're going to take your right leg the closest to my wheats, and take a step back. Now as I step back, I'm going to plant my back foot. I'm going to rotate my hips towards those wheats or towards the right side. Now you might not be able to see it, but I'm going to bend in and out of my front knee. So for my visual learners, I'm going to get ready to turn sideways just so you can see what that looks like. Bending in and out of the knee, protecting that knee. Knee goes right above ankle, hips aiming towards the right side. When you're ready, we're going to land in that front knee. With those hips opened up, we come into our warrior two. So reaching fingertips, gaze towards me, towards your computer screen. Feeling long and strong. You might rock back and forth to see where you are in the center here. And then landing here for 3 breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale one more time. Inhale and exhale. We're going to move through this just a bit. Again, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see a little bit better. So as we get ready to move, we're going to inhale to reach fingertips, straighten your front leg. Exhale, looking over those front fingertips. Inhale, straight leg. Exhale, reaching over 3 more times. Inhaling up. Exhaling, bending in. Inhaling up. Exhale, bending in. One last time. Inhale up. Exhale, we'll bend into the front knee. We're going to take that front elbow, maybe it's palm, maybe it's elbow, and letting it rest on that front thigh, really pushing up through that rib cage. So bending into that front knee. The back arm can do lots of things. It might feel better to simply let it rest behind your back. It might reach to the back of the room. It might reach up towards the ceiling. It might even reach towards me. Let's give ourselves 2 more breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling, and as you exhale, swing that arm around, let it propel you back up into your warrior two. We're gonna bring hands to heart. We're gonna take one big step if you can, because that is a balance, to bring that right foot back to the front of your mat. So when you're ready, stepping forward, we come to plant ourselves back in our mountain pose. Give a little bit of bend, maybe a little wiggle through all of that upper body. We're going to move to the other side. So this time, your left foot, the foot closest to my flowers, is going to step back and we plant that foot at an angle. Bending in and out of that front knee. We get some information here. Maybe if your knee is going beyond your ankle, you want to take a little further step back. If you're having any knee pain, you want to bring that back foot a little closer to your front foot. So my hips are open towards the flower side of that room. And then we're going to reach arms, finding our warrior two. So nice deep inhale and exhale. Noticing some work happening in the legs, maybe a little tailbone tuck to protect that low back. One last time here. And then we're going to move through just a little bit. So again, I'm going to turn sideways just so you can see me. So I'm going to inhale, coming up, and exhale, bending into that front knee. So I'll inhale, maybe look at fingertips, and then as I exhale, look over my front fingertips. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. Last time, inhale. And exhale, holding there for just a moment. We're going to take that front elbow or the palm, and we'll let that elbow come down. Back arm can do lots of things. It can hang out. It could reach to the back of your room, to the ceiling, or towards me. Shoulders melting away from that ear if it can. Nice deep inhale and exhale. One more time, inhaling and exhaling. This time as we inhale, we'll rise up, bringing hands to heart. We're going to step to the front of our mat again. So we're going to take that back foot, see if we can get it to the front of the mat, and one big step. Hands come on down by the side. Let's take a moment to check in. So give yourself 2 fingers between those big toes. As you look down, we're just looking to see if we can get them a little bit closer. Feeling the entire surface of your foot. If it's helpful, wiggle in and out. Softening those knees, micro-softening knees. Shoulders draw up, back and down. Palms can face thighs or forward. Breathing fully here. So maybe we're catching our breath if that felt a bit vigorous. Maybe we're going back to noticing where is the breath traveling. So as I'm inhaling, where do you feel your breath expand? And as I exhale, is there a sense of ease or release that comes with that exhale? A few more breaths, noticing breath. On your next exhale, if your eyes or gaze is lowered, go ahead and lift them to your computer screen, bringing hands to heart. One more standing round of poses. We're going to take your right leg, the leg that is closest to the weeds. We step back. We'll plant that foot either parallel to the back of your mat or at an angle. And this time we're thinking about hips rotating towards your computer screen. So we're going to rotate those hips, bending into that front knee, knees right above ankle. For now, pausing here. I always like to remind folks, if balance is challenging, this front leg is going to be a little bit easier to wiggle out. So it's more like you're on a plank versus a balance beam. So if balance here is challenging, send that leg, or that foot, I should say, out to the edge of your mat. We're going to move through a little bit of warrior here, warrior one and cactus arms. So when you're ready, let's give our computer screens a high five. We'll squeeze shoulder blades, but careful that we're not spilling forward with that belly. So I still have a little bit of tailbone tuck, like I'm a puppy that got in trouble. I'm bending into that front knee. Knee is right above ankle. If it makes sense for your shoulders and arms, I'm going to reach up with straight arms. You're going to notice I go a little bit wider because as soon as I bring mine in, my shoulders go right into my ears. You might have parallel arms. So we're going to inhale into cactus arms. Exhale into warrior one arms. It's okay to simply stay in cactus arms. One more time. Inhale, cactus arms. Exhale, warrior one arms. When you're ready, we're going to swing our hands down by our side. And I'm going to take a little lean forward. I'm going to turn sideways just so you can see that. As I'm leaning forward, I'm engaging my belly. I'm really trying to pull up. I'm still bending into that front knee. Arms are flying down by my side. So a little more work here. A little more work in those legs and torso. Give yourself 2 more breaths. And then we're going to try to challenge ourselves here. Bring your hands to heart. One big step to the front of your mat. Once you're there, give everything a bend and a wiggle. You know we have to do both sides. So we're going to go ahead and switch sides. We're going to go to that left side, the side closest to the flowers. Takes a big step back. And as you step back, bending into that front knee. Knee is right above that ankle, coming into your cactus arms. So legs stay put, we'll change the arms. We're going to inhale, fingertips reach maybe, and exhale into cactus. Opening that heart, squeezing shoulder blades. Inhale, tailbone is tucked, and exhale. Oh, I switched to breath on you. Inhale here, and exhale. Inhale, back into our cactus arms. Hands swing down by your side. Take a little bow forward. So still bending into that front knee. Feeling a little tailbone tuck and maybe belly tries to draw in. Don't forget, if balance is challenging, front foot gets to walk a little closer to the edge of that mat. One more breath here. We'll inhale, rise up into your warrior one arms. Exhale, hands to heart. One big step forward if you can, coming towards the front of your mat. So we're going to be balancing here. And I know you may be on carpet, you may be on your mat, you may want to get close to a wall. So take a moment to move however you need to feel like you can really get those feet solidly on the floor. We'll bring our hands to heart, which is very centering for me, but you may find it's a little more centering to have your hands out to your side. So wherever you would like to be with those arms. Take a moment here. We go back to feeling the surface of our feet. We'd like to feel like the weight is even between both of those feet. And as you're resting here, maybe noticing low back, soft knees, not locked out, shoulders melting down. We're back to that mountain pose in this standing pose. We're going to shift our weight to our right side, the side that is closest to the weeds. And we'll take our left knee to rotate out. Now you might be able to see it, you might not be able to see it. My toes are on the floor, my heel is on my shin. So this may be it. This may be the place where your balance is challenged most. If there's more to be gained here for balance challenge, you can lift the toes. You might even be someone who places the sole of the foot on their shin. Pausing here, see if you can rotate that knee out a little bit, maybe gather a little longer, taller torso. If you want to challenge your balance one step further, arms reach. If you've fallen out, that's okay. This is all about gaining balance, and to gain balance, we kind of have to lose it. Hands come towards your heart, foot comes back down. Give yourself a nice little 2 fingers width between those toes, wiggle in and out. Maybe balancing those knees. We're gonna move to the other side. So we're gonna shift our weight over to the left side, the flower side of my room, and rotate my knee out. And again, we're gonna start with toes on our mat. We got some information about balance. Maybe we're able to pull toes off. Maybe foot is able to come towards shin. If you're still really solidly balanced here, challenge it. See if you can reach those fingers. And then we'll bring our hands back to heart. Foot comes back down. Hands come on down by our side. Give yourself a rock forward and back. We're gonna get ready to move towards the floor. So I'm gonna be turning sideways so you can see me just a little bit better. We're gonna go through our half sun salute, and then we'll move through a little bit of plank and down dog with some choices. So stepping for me sideways here, I'm gonna inhale, fingertips reach. As I exhale, I keep my back rounded, soft bent knees. I'm gonna aim for the floor, and I get there how I get there. And when I'm ready, I'm gonna carefully and gently step back. Now, opportunities here are to bring your knees down to the floor. You might also be on fists if this bugs your wrists. We're just gonna be rocking back and forth. You can also be on elbows. So as you're ready, soft knees, tailbone reaches towards the sky, pressing your heart a little closer to your thighs. And then we dive forward, tucking your tailbone. And again, I'm gonna demonstrate on knees. So I can be on knees and send my tailbone back, which looks a little bit more like a child's pose, or I can come forward, shoulders right above wrists. Let's do 3 more of those. So pressing back into down dog and diving forward into plank. Let's exhale to press back into down dog. Inhale into plank one last time. Bending knees and diving forward. When you're ready, we're gonna come to rest on our bellies. We're getting ready for a little bit of back bending. So coming down all the way to the mat, how you get there is how you get there. If you feel any pain in your low back or pinching in your low back, I wanna encourage you to keep this a lot smaller, resting forehead on your hands and just allowing yourself to hang out here. If you want to go into a little bit of a deeper challenge or more invigorated back bend, we're going to bring our hands to rest down by our sides. So I'm letting my fingertips hover. My heart is off of the mat. My nose is hovering. And I'm just holding here. So my feet are on the ground. I'm lengthening through the top of my head. I'm drawing my shoulders away from my ears. One more breath here. And then when you're ready, just take an exhale, let your hands drop down by your side, rest on a cheek, just pick a cheek to rest on. A few breaths. And then we'll switch cheeks, so switching to the other side. We'll come back, nose aiming towards the floor, arms begin to hover. On my inhale, I lift to the place that makes sense. Try not to let my back feel this in the pinching of the low back. We're really thinking about mid back here. Letting my feet stay solidly on the ground. Now I might invigorate this just a little bit. If my back allows, I might lengthen my feet now. So I'm lengthening my legs as if they could touch the back of the room. So my heart is hovering, my feet are hovering. If that feels too intense, stay with the feet on the floor and the heart hovering. This time when we exhale, we're going to slide our palms down underneath our shoulders, pressing back into your version of child's pose. So I might let my hips come towards my heels. I might be able to rest my head. I might stack my fists underneath my head. I may be on elbows and knees and just simply letting the head drop to look through my legs, especially if those knees are talking to you this morning. Let's do 2 more breaths here. Deep inhales and exhales. When you're ready, we're going to come on up to hands and knees. And a lot of times in yoga classes, you'll see this as a warm-up, a thread the needle. I like to do it near the end of class because I think it's a little bit more stretchy. So we're going to thread the needle. We're going to start with your right hand. So I'm going to switch around here so you can see me. Your right hand, which is closest to the weeds, will reach that arm up, give it a good look. It's going to dive underneath to reach across the room. Now, if you're able, we let the head rest, the shoulder rest. That opposite arm, so your left arm can reach towards the top of your mat. It can also reach up towards the ceiling if you're not working with neck challenges. Feeling that perhaps in the back shoulder blade, twist through the spine. Fully breathing here. So those twists sometimes encourage us to hold our breath. Can you notice that breath? Are you breathing in and out fully? When you're ready, slide that hand right in front of the face. We're going to untwist, reach towards the ceiling, give it a good little wave. Hand comes back down. We're going to switch sides. So opposite arm, left arm reaches towards the ceiling. We're going to dive through to reach towards the weed side of my room, resting cheek, resting shoulder. Opposite arm can reach the top of your mat or towards the ceiling, depending on what you're working with in your neck. Keeping the hand on the floor, safer for the neck. If this feels really challenging for your balance, we can always be in tabletop. Tabletop doing a cat-cow is a great way to open that spine as well. When you're ready, slide that hand right in front of the face. We're going to untwist, reach it up towards the ceiling, give it a good wave. Hand comes back down. We're just going to shake our tail feathers. So rocking those tail feathers back and forth. We're going to be shifting to rest on our backs. So we get there, as I like to say, how we get there doesn't have to be fancy, but coming to rest on your back, we're going to be doing a reclining twist. So at this point, you're going to see me seated. I'm going to ask you to roll back. And as you're rolling back, you may want to extend arms out into a T. You may feel better resting hands on rib cage or maybe even overhead if that feels better to you. We're going to take our knees and we're going to drop them to the right side. So over towards that weed side of the room, the knees drop to the right. We'll come back through center. Take your time as you come through center. And we're going to switch sides. So this time we're dropping knees towards the left. Left. If the knees don't go all the way over, if your shoulder pulls off, no worries. Give yourself a couple of deep inhales and exhales here. Knees come back through center. We'll take those knees and either hang on behind shins or behind thighs and draw knees in towards your chest. Maybe giving those knees a little rock side to side. We massage that low back. We're going to be moving through here our final relaxation. And often at the end of my classes, the invitation is to relax in a way that feels relaxing to you. So maybe it's resting on your back with the feet a little bit wider and arms a little bit wider, but maybe it feels better to you to rest on your side or your belly. So finding a space for yourself that brings the most ease into your body right now. Now, if you've cooled down, you may want to grab your sweatshirt or your socks. This is the point we talked a little bit at to the beginning of class where as you're relaxing, I'm going to leave you here. So rather than bring you out of relaxation, you might find that you're ready to rest, to be at ease, and you'd like to stay there longer. So if that is the case for you, you're going to hear me just sign off here in just a moment and allow yourself to find this space. I'll talk you just a bit through it, and then I'll leave you to relax. It's been my honor to teach you today. As you're finding this space that brings the most ease, think about taking a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, letting it out through the mouth, settling into the weight of your body wherever it's connected to the mat. One more deep inhale. And exhale. And now we allow the body to simply breathe itself. The breath is traveling as it chooses. We invite the mind to quiet, and often that quieting looks more like longer pauses between thoughts. And we let go of all of the doing of our practice. We invite ourselves to just simply be. To be resting here in ease, to be resting in relaxation for as long as you choose.